She was beaten by her stepfather, ignored by her own mother, and left to suffer in silence. But one night, a canine stopped, barking furiously at the darkness. What he discovered would stun police, expose a family's darkest secret, and leave the world speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The night air was sharp, every breath turning into mist as Officer Mark walked beside his loyal K9 partner, Rex. Snow crunched beneath their boots and paws, the quiet rhythm almost soothing. Patrols on nights like this were usually uneventful, cold, calm, and lonely streets stretching endlessly ahead. But suddenly, Rex stopped. His ears twitched, his body stiffened like a coiled spring. Mark felt the leash pull taut in his hand. The German shepherd growled low, scanning the dark alley nearby. Mark's pulse quickened. He had learned long ago never to ignore Rex's instincts. Something wasn't right. Then it came, a faint, broken sound cutting through the icy silence. A child's whimper, muffled yet unmistakable. Mark's chest tightened as Rex surged forward, pulling him toward the narrow alley. Snowflakes swirled under the dim light, but nothing could mask the chilling truth. Someone small was crying in the dark. Rex led the way with unrelenting urgency, his paws leaving deep imprints in the snow. At the end of the narrow alley, Mark's breath caught. There she was. A little girl, no more than 6 or 7, stood trembling against a brick wall. Her cheeks were streaked with frozen tears, her pink vest torn and dirty. The child flinched. As Mark crouched down, his voice gentle yet steady. "Hey, sweetheart, it's okay. You're safe now." She shook her head, retreating a step, but Rex lowered himself beside her, tail brushing softly against the ground. The girl's fearful eyes shifted to him, and for the first time, she didn't pull away. Trust flickered in her gaze. Mark noticed the bruises. Faint, purplish marks on her small arms peeked out from the sleeves of her dress. His jaw clenched, but he forced calm into his tone. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. The girl hesitated, clutching her torn dress with trembling hands. Finally, her whisper cracked the silence. "Lily." Mark softened his voice, speaking as if to a fragile bird. "Lily, can you tell me what happened?" Her lips quivered, eyes darting nervously to the shadows beyond the alley. For a long moment, silence hung heavy in the freezing air. Then, almost inaudibly, she whispered, "My stepdad. He hits me." The words cracked like ice beneath weight. Mark's chest tightened, anger simmering beneath his calm exterior. No child should carry such fear in her voice. Lily's small hands trembled as she rubbed her arms, trying to warm herself. Rex leaned closer, pressing his strong frame against her legs, offering warmth and reassurance. For the first time, Lily's sobs quieted. She reached out, fingers brushing Rex's fur like a lifeline. Her voice dropped even lower, each word a dagger. "Mom doesn't care. She says I lie." Mark felt the sting of her confession deep in his gut. Behind him, the street was silent, but inside, his heart thundered. This wasn't just a lost child. This was a cry for help that no one else had answered, until now. With Lily bundled gently in a warm police jacket, Mark and Rex accompanied 2 officers to her home. The small house sat dimly lit, shadows pooling against the windows. When the door creaked open, a woman appeared, her hair disheveled, her eyes weary. She looked at Lily with no trace of alarm. "This again?" the mother muttered, crossing her arms. Her voice carried irritation rather than concern. "She makes things up when she doesn't get her way." Mark exchanged a sharp glance with the other officers. Behind the woman, a man stepped into view, broad, smug, and calm. "Evening, officers," he said smoothly. "Whatever she told you, it's nonsense." Lily shrank behind Rex, clutching his fur. Mark's gut twisted. The bruises on her arms, the terror in her eyes. None of this was make-believe. Yet the mother stood firm, siding with the man who towered over them. For the first time, Mark realized Lily's real danger wasn't just neglect, it was betrayal. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to proceed. Procedure demanded they leave Lily with her parents until further investigation. But as Mark guided the girl toward the doorway, Rex suddenly blocked the path. His hackles rose, a low growl rumbling from deep within his chest. He wasn't moving. "Rex, heel," Mark commanded firmly. But the German shepherd stood his ground, positioning himself between Lily and the looming stepfather. The tension in the room thickened, silence broken only by Rex's steady growl. The stepfather sneered, shifting uncomfortably under the dog's unrelenting glare. Lily clutched Rex tighter, whispering, "Don't make me go." Mark's instincts screamed. Rex never disobeyed without cause. His partner had spent years detecting threats, drugs, weapons, explosives, but now, his refusal was absolute. Something inside this home reeked of danger. Mark's heart pounded as realization struck. This wasn't defiance. This was protection. Rex knew Lily wasn't safe here, and for the first time, Mark questioned the rules. Mark gave a subtle nod, and one officer began scanning the house. The stepfather's smug expression flickered. With unease, Rex prowled forward, nose pressed against the hallway door. He scratched furiously, barking with a sharp urgency that sent chills through everyone. Mark pushed past the mother's protests and turned the handle. The door was locked. With a swift kick, the officer forced it open. The room beyond was dark, the air thick with dust and dread. Inside, broken toys lay scattered across the floor, their colors dulled by neglect. Belts hung from a chair, worn and stained. In the corner, a small mattress sat ripped open, its stuffing spilling like wounded flesh. Mark's stomach turned. Every corner of the room screamed of cruelty, of nights filled with fear instead of comfort. The evidence was undeniable. This wasn't a home, it was a prison for a child. The mother stood pale, trembling, while the stepfather's face hardened with defiance. Rex barked again, louder, as though demanding justice for the little girl. Hiding behind him, Lily clung desperately to Rex as the officers moved her out of the room. Her tiny fingers tangled in his fur, refusing to let go. The stepfather's face darkened with rage. "You can't take her," he bellowed, lunging forward. In an instant, Rex leapt between them, teeth bared, a protective wall of muscle and fury. The officers reacted quickly, forcing the man back and pinning him against the wall. His shouts echoed through the house, but Lily barely heard them. All she felt was Rex's warmth pressed against her side, steady and strong. For the first time in forever, she didn't feel alone. She felt safe. The mother collapsed onto a chair, sobbing, though guilt weighed heavier than her tears. Her silence had allowed the nightmare to fester. But Lily didn't look at her, not once. Instead, she buried her face in Rex's fur and whispered through trembling lips, "You saved me." The German shepherd's steady eyes told her everything. She was never going back. Weeks later, the courtroom buzzed with hushed whispers. Every seat was filled, neighbors, reporters, strangers who had followed Lily's story. At the center sat the stepfather, his arrogance barely shaken. He smirked, confident he could twist the truth. But Mark stood tall nearby, with Rex lying calmly at his feet, eyes locked on the accused. The prosecutor laid out the evidence, photographs of bruises, the locked room filled with broken toys, belts marked with violence. Each piece struck like a hammer. The mother testified reluctantly, her voice trembling, admitting she had ignored the cries. Gasps echoed through the room, disbelief painted across the faces of the jury. The weight of silence pressed heavily. Then the judge leaned forward, voice firm. This child's life was saved not just by officers, but by a dog who refused to be silenced. All eyes shifted to Rex. The German shepherd lifted his head proudly. The gavel struck, sentencing delivered. Justice had spoken, and the courtroom erupted in relief and applause. The gavel's echo faded, but for Lily, a new chapter had begun. She was placed in a safe foster home, where warm meals and gentle voices replaced fear and silence. At night, she still woke from nightmares, but she no longer woke alone. She had found her first true sense of security. Often, Lily visited the police station. Each time, Rex bounded toward her, tail wagging, his protective gaze softening. She would wrap her small arms around his neck, burying her face in his fur. Officers smiled quietly, knowing that this bond had given her strength to heal. Rex had become more than a canine, he was family. Over time, Lily's laughter returned. Her once hollow eyes now sparkled with something she had nearly forgotten: hope. She began drawing pictures of her hero dog, proudly showing them to the officers. And every time she left, She whispered to Rex, "Thank you." It was a ritual, a promise, a bond no cruelty could ever break.